My what?
That was your poo.
My pee?
Yeah, no, you poo.
I didn't have a poo.
Don't lie to us.
Not enough time.
Don't lie to me.
I mean, there's time if it's a quick one. You just don't wipe.
Just play from the toilet.
Take the toilet.
That's why we want to put a TV in there. Move the PlayStation 3 in. Sit down for a long one. Fire up Modern Warfare 2. Pew pew pew. Poo poo poo.
I've only ever heard bad things about sitting on the toilet for more than 10 minutes.
Well, no. I think that's only because if you have to sit on the toilet for more than 10 minutes, something is already wrong, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with having a wee and then sitting there for 10 minutes.
Why
Right?
would you then sit? Why would you sit down and have a wee? Why would you have a wee and then sit down? Why don't you just go and sit down in another part of your house?
No, I'm gonna go and sit down. Sit down wee. We've all discussed. A sit down wee sometimes is relaxing.
Yeah, but the way you've said it was like, oh, I'm gonna have a wee and then I'm gonna have a sit down.
Yeah.
Right, but you know what I mean.
I was interested to see where you went with it before jumping in to be like, why are you weeing then sitting down? Because I mean, I like to hope that you're weeing and then cleaning up any sort of like splash zone areas in the toilet seat, then sitting down, not just sitting down.
No, I've sat down. No. Why would I do this in two steps? I've sat down to have my piss.
Just checking.
Otherwise, it's weird. There was this one time when me and Dad did a bit of plumbing, and I had some spare boiling water left over, and I just preheated the toilet seat for him.
I where that was going. That was after he peed all over the plunger.
I did pee a little bit on the plunger
Oh.
to sterilise it.
Okay.
Sean, guess which of the following shops sell a toilet plunger? Wilko, the Pound Store, Poundland, Sainsbury's, B&Q, TK Maxx, some tiny little Asian lady in Tooting Market. Guess which of those? There's only one. Guess which of those sells a toilet plunger?
I'm gonna go with little Asian lady.
It's a little Asian lady at Tooting Market. She's the only one in a mile radius who sold a fucking toilet plunger. Yeah, I needed one. Dan did a big poo.
I think it was your guilt that made you immediately want to clean it up.
No, you blocked the toilet and it went down, and then I did a little wee or something and flushed it, and suddenly it's all up. Oh, I'm sorry. Are neither of us lying now, Dan? Dan did a big poo. Dan did a really, really big poo, and it was like the day or 2 days before Isla and Imogen came, so we splashed out.
I can only imagine the conversation. We need to go quickly. We need to
It wasn't. The thing is, nowhere did you see the big poo. It was just under toilet paper.
Stuck in the bend.
Your big poo was stuck in the bend, yeah. Like you know, a bus that's going round a roundabout. Hot water was used. I offered to get my pen. Well, hot water, you know.
Has Harry told you the story about the time he cut off his own?
I'm gonna use a penknife.
What's this?
Nah, don't worry, mate. We're all good.
Do you still have that penknife?
Yeah, I do it to my desk. I can see it.
No.
So I was really. So at my.
Run clean.
At my this will now make it to YouTube. When my ex took us back to hers for Thanksgiving at her parents' place, we went back for Thanksgiving, and I did a poo. But American toilets are a little bit different, and they've just got like shallow water everywhere instead of like one deep, water pool like we have in the UK. I think is a good way of describing it. And I did a poo, and it's quite large. And I flushed it, and instead of the water carrying the poo down the hole, the poo sort of the poo like parted the water like the Red Sea and Moses. And the water just ran around it, and I was like, that is quite a chunky boy.
Have a penknife on you?
Well, I always have a penknife on me, for useful stuff.
Just when you go to the toilet.
Well, no, I had to leave the bathroom to retrieve the penknife. I didn't take the penknife in. I didn't think, this feels like a big one, I'm going to take a penknife in. Anyway, so because it was within the first month maybe of us going out, and we weren't at the point yet where I could really be like, hey, I've had a little toilet trouble. She still thinks that I'm a reasonably well-adjusted human being. I went in, I got my penknife, I opened one of the knives and I just cut it up.
I could maybe understand cutting it in half, but you went multiple cuts.
Why would you cut it in half and risk... Look, I mean, okay, so the currency that we're dealing with here is embarrassment and time, right? And the more time I spend in there, the more embarrassing it gets. And also, the more times I flush, the more embarrassing this gets. So I deployed the strategy that used the least time, the least flushes, but unfortunately, the most number of incisions to my own feces. And sure enough, I cut this log, and if you open your palm, it was probably from my index finger to the bottom of the pad of my thumb. It was quite a big one and quite wide. Like I won't lie, it was quite a biggie coming out, and it needed. And you can't just cut it. You can't just make an incision. You have to cut and separate so that the water doesn't just flow around it, but the water suddenly gets some traction. So I probably cut it into 3, I think, remembering it's either 3 or 4. And of course, I had to sort of cut and slide it.
This is the only time in your life you have done this. Hopefully.
Sweet Jesus.
You don't know that, Dan.
That's true, I don't.
So yeah, that was the time that I cut my poo up.
The thing is, I am laughing, but I'm also in my head trying to think how I would also react to that situation. And without a penknife, I'd really be scared.
What would you do?
I don't know.
Remember. This is the first.
Blame it on the girlfriend at the time.
Blame it on the girlfriend. This is the first time your girlfriend has taken you back to her parents' house. Yeah. You're meeting the entire family for the first time, and you're gonna treat this with the decorum of blaming this monster poo on her.
Yeah.
Also, to who are you blaming this on her? Are you going straight to the mum and being like, oh, by the way, your daughter, my girlfriend, has just done a monster log in our bathroom, what do we do? Or are you going to go out and be like, oi, girlfriend, you've left a massive poo in there?
I think it's whisper. Oh, by the way, I may have heard.
I fucked your toilet.
If you've got more than one toilet, I'd recommend using that other one, or taking one on the chin for me. And if your mum asks, it was you.
I cannot believe in the first month of being in a romantic connection with somebody, you would have the balls to ask or say either of those two things. I think, Sean Soley, you would either finger it down the hole yourself, or pick it up and throw it away. You're doing one of those two things. If I out the window. on. Dan says that isn't any better. Throwing it out the window is a downside better than blaming it on your new girlfriend. Okay, all right. Consider this. They also had 2 dogs. So if you throw the log outside, maybe you can blame it on a dog. But you can't blame it on a dog if it's sat in the toilet. Anyway, I maintain my strategy of slice and separate was far better than any of the other proposals issued by either of you two boys. Like, realistically, if you have a penknife and nobody ever has to know until it's 4 years later and you're playing an online Call of Duty, I reckon the old slice and separate, it worked a dream. I only flushed it twice. Twice is not an abnormal flush for a big poo. My girlfriend was none the wiser.
I just got to